Dear students, let's begin with a new chapter, Chapter 4, Keeping Diseases Away. So, in this chapter, we are going to discuss about various types of diseases. So, first, let us look on to this news reports. So, these news reports are related with the flood that we face in our state. And we know that soon after the flood, the problem that we face in our state is the spread of contagious diseases, isn't it? So, what are the reasons for the spread of contagious diseases soon after the flood? It is because of the dirty surroundings or polluted surroundings and then lack of hygiene. So, all these are the reasons for the spread of those contagious diseases. It is because soon after the flood, our surroundings were suitable for the growth of bacteria, viruses and all. It is because our environment was dirty and we are also having a lack of hygiene. So after the flood, we know that there were no proper sanitation. The water surrounded all the area, full house, the entire house, and there were no toilet facilities or there were no proper facilities for drinking pure water. So all these problems lead to the spread of contagious diseases. We already studied that some microorganisms are helpful for human beings, but some other microorganisms are pathogens. Pathogens means the microorganisms that spread disease. So we shall see which are those microorganisms that spread disease or which are those pathogens. So bacteria, some bacteria are pathogens. Then fungus, virus, protozoa. So all these microorganisms can act as pathogens. Pathogens means the microorganisms that spread diseases. And nowadays we are familiar with virus, the problem with virus. Which is that virus? Yes, coronavirus. And also we know that which are the methods that we have to follow to prevent the spread of viral diseases.
Then which are the modes of transmission of diseases? We already know that by contact, then through contaminated food and water, then through cough and sneezing. We know that the droplets may spread in the air and it also spread the diseases. Then unsterilized equipments. We are already familiar with all these things. Then also through vectors. Vectors means the animals which carry the disease and it spread to human beings. For example, mosquito. We know that it can carry some diseases and can be transmitted to human beings. Not only mosquito, we know that many other animals are spreading diseases. Then by sharing clothes is another reason for transmission of diseases.
First, we shall discuss about a disease which is caused by bacteria, and that is rat fever, which is also known as leptospirosis. So this rat fever is also known as leptospirosis and which is caused by bacteria and its name is leptospira. So we can connect the name of bacteria with the name of disease. That is leptospirosis is caused by the bacteria leptospira. So this bacteria which comes out through the urine of infected dog, rat and some other animals can stay for long in the stagnant water or the moist conditions. So when we come into contact with this water, if we are having a wound in our leg, this bacteria can enter into our body very easily. And if this bacteria enter into our body, it spreads into numerous number or it multiplies into numerous number by the process of binary fission. So we already studied in 8th standard about binary fission. So by the process of binary fission, it multiplies into numerous number and it produces a toxin which affects the blood capillaries or the blood vessels. And what happens is we cause internal bleeding and this leads to severe conditions and it may also lead to death. Then about the symptoms associated with leptospirosis. So the symptoms are severe fever, then cough, then headache, then muscle pain, body pain. All these are the symptoms associated with leptospirosis. So what about the treatment? It is better to diagnose it earlier. So by understanding about the symptoms, we can diagnose it very earlier so that we can treat the disease by proper medication. So it is better to prevent this situation than getting affected with this disease. So in flood areas, we already discussed about the flood that we face in our state in the beginning of this class. So in flooded areas, we know that the surrounding will be fully dirty and it will be surrounded with stagnant water, dirty water, all these things. So in such situation, the people dealing with the cleaning activities should take medication, proper medication for prevention, as a prevention against leptospirosis. It is better to take prevention than getting affected with the leptospirosis. Then personal hygiene is a very important thing that we have to follow to prevent all these type of diseases. And also very importantly, we have to keep our surroundings clean. And in a situation of flood and all, we can move to safer places. Now we shall discuss about diphtheria. Diphtheria is also a disease which is caused by bacteria, and the name of that bacteria is Corynebacterium diphtheriae. So this disease can be spread from one person to another through the spreading of droplets through air while coughing and sneezing. So the water droplets of the infected person can be spread this disease by coughing and sneezing. And this bacteria affects mucous membrane of nose and throat. So the Corynebacterium diphtheriae affects it destroys the cells of our mucous membrane of nose and throat. So this results in the inflammation of our throat, and the symptoms associated with this disease is fever, then throat pain, and also inflammation of lymph glands in our throat. And we can see it affects our mucous membrane. So it destroys the cells of mucous membrane. If a person is infected with the bacteria Corynebacterium diphtheriae, what happens is this bacteria releases some toxins and it destroys the cells of our mucous membrane of throat and nose, and we can see an ash colored coating which is formed in our throat within 2 or 3 days after the infection. Then we can use antitoxins to protect our uninfected cells or undestroyed cells. We can't recover our destroyed cells, but we can protect our undestroyed cells by using antitoxins. But the better solution is to take vaccination as a preventive measure against diphtheria. That is because when we infected with this bacteria, Corynebacterium diphtheriae, it destroys the cells of our mucous membrane, and within few days it may also affect our brain, then our heart, then kidney, all these important organs. So finally we cannot recover that person or that patient. And in such a situation, we cannot recover that person and he may lead to death.
Now we shall discuss about tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is also caused by a bacteria which is known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The symptoms associated with tuberculosis include loss of body weight, then fatigue, persistent cough. Tuberculosis can be transmitted from one person to another person when the patient speaks, coughs, or sneezes. Tuberculosis mainly affects our lungs, but it also affects the other important organs like kidney, brain, and also it affects bones, joints, etc. We can take antibiotics as a treatment method, and vaccination is the best method as a preventive method. The name of the vaccine is BCG vaccine.